Welcome to our channel, the place where knowledge meets curiosity. Here, we dive deep into the wonders of history, science, culture, and mysteries that shape our world. Every video is designed to open your mind and spark your imagination. So sit back, relax, and let's begin this incredible journey together. Now, we explain the lost civilization of Cahokia, secrets of the Mississippian Empire.
Long before European explorers set foot on the North American continent, vast civilizations flourished across its lands, societies that built cities, organized complex economies, and governed through religion and power. Among these ancient cultures, none was more sophisticated, mysterious, or influential than the Mississippian civilization, a network of chiefdoms that dominated the central and southeastern regions of what is now the United States from roughly 800 CE to 1600 CE. At its heart stood Cahokia, the greatest city north of Mexico, a sprawling metropolis that once housed tens of thousands of people and served as the political, economic, and spiritual center of a vast cultural world. Today, its remains lie quietly beneath the earth in southern Illinois, near the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. But centuries ago, Cahokia pulsed with life, ceremony, and ambition, a testament to the brilliance of indigenous North American civilization. To understand the Mississippian culture, we must first understand the landscape that gave birth to it. The Mississippi River Valley was one of the richest ecological regions on the continent, a corridor of fertile floodplains, forests, and waterways. This environment allowed for intensive agriculture, especially the cultivation of maize, which had diffused northward from Mesoamerica centuries earlier. The introduction of maize agriculture transformed native societies in the region. Where once small, semi-nomadic communities had roamed, larger, more sedentary populations began to form, supported by the steady productivity of the land. The river served as a natural highway, connecting distant communities through trade and communication, while the abundance of fish, game, and crops ensured a stable food supply. It was within this landscape of abundance that the Mississippian world took shape. Around 800 CE, communities across the Midwest and Southeast began constructing earthen mounds, artificial platforms for temples, council houses, or the homes of elites. These mounds symbolized both political authority and religious devotion. They were the visible expressions of a worldview in which the earth itself was sacred and shaped by human hands to mirror the order of the cosmos. The Mississippians believed the universe was structured in three realms: the upper world of the sky, the middle world of humans, and the lower world of water and spirits. The mounds, rising from the earth toward the heavens, acted as bridges between these realms. This cosmological vision lay at the heart of Mississippian society, and nowhere was it realized more magnificently than at Cahokia.
Cahokia emerged around 1050 CE as a city unlike any other north of Mesoamerica. Covering more than 6 square miles and containing over 120 earthen mounds, it was the largest urban center in ancient North America. Its population at its height may have reached 20,000 to 30,000, rivaling the great cities of Europe in the same era. The centerpiece of Cahokia was Monks Mound, a colossal earthwork standing 100 feet high and covering more than 14 acres at its base. Built entirely by human labor, using woven baskets of soil, Monks Mound was both a feat of engineering and a sacred space. At its summit once stood the temple and residence of Cahokia's paramount chief, an individual who embodied both political power and divine connection. From atop Monks Mound, the ruler could oversee a landscape of order and purpose. Around it stretched vast plazas, residential districts, ceremonial platforms, and defensive palisades. Archaeological excavations have revealed careful urban planning, streets aligned with cardinal directions, neighborhoods arranged around courtyards, and specialized zones for artisans and farmers. This was not a random settlement, but a city designed according to cosmological principles, reflecting the harmony between society and the divine. The city's layout mirrored a sacred map of the universe, with the central plaza representing the world's heart, the axis mundi, where heaven, earth, and the underworld met. Cahokia's rulers maintained authority through a combination of religious ideology, economic control, and social hierarchy. The Mississippian world was organized into chiefdoms, where power was hereditary and centered on divine leadership. Chiefs derived their legitimacy from the gods, serving as intermediaries who ensured the fertility of the land and the balance of cosmic forces. They presided over ceremonies, controlled trade, and commanded labor for large public works. This theocratic system created a powerful social structure in which the elite lived atop mounds, physically and symbolically elevated above the common people. The ordinary inhabitants, farmers, artisans, and laborers supported the system through tribute and service. But in return, they shared in the communal prosperity and spiritual security that Cahokia provided. The spiritual life of Cahokia was rich and complex, infused with symbolism that linked human existence to the cycles of nature. The Mississippians were master observers of the sky, and their religious calendar was tied to solar and lunar events. To mark these cosmic rhythms, they built woodhenge, a massive circle of wooden posts used to track the solstices and equinoxes. Standing within woodhenge, priests and astronomers could predict the changing seasons and schedule agricultural rituals accordingly. The rising sun on the summer solstice aligned perfectly with Monks Mound, transforming the city itself into a living calendar. Through these observances, the people reaffirmed their connection to the cosmos and the divine order that sustained their world.
Ritual and ceremony dominated Cahokian life. Archaeological discoveries at Mound 72, a burial mound near the city's center, reveal the extent of religious devotion and social stratification. Inside the mound, excavators found the remains of a high-status man, surrounded by lavish offerings, shell beads, copper ornaments, and finely crafted arrowheads. Nearby lay the remains of over 250 other individuals, many of them young women who appeared to have been sacrificed in ritual ceremonies. These burials suggest a belief in the divine nature of rulership and the idea that death could renew the balance between worlds. The ruler buried at Mound 72 may have been seen as a sun deity, his death marking the renewal of cosmic life. Such rituals, though shocking to modern sensibilities, reflected a worldview in which the sacred and the political were inseparable. Cahokia's power was not confined to its walls. The city served as the hub of a vast Mississippian network that stretched from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Through trade, diplomacy, and migration, Cahokia's influence reached dozens of regional centers, spreading its art, architecture, and religious symbols. Archaeologists have found artifacts such as shell gorgets, copper plates, and effigy pipes decorated with the bird-man motif, a powerful symbol associated with warfare, rebirth, and the celestial realm. These objects, found across the Mississippian world, attest to a shared iconography and belief system rooted in Cahokia's ideology. In many ways, Cahokia was not just a city, it was the spiritual capital of an entire cultural sphere. Cahokia's power was not confined to its walls. The city served as the hub of a vast Mississippian network that stretched from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Through trade, diplomacy, and migration, Cahokia's influence reached dozens of regional centers, spreading its art, architecture, and religious symbols. Archaeologists have found artifacts such as shell gorgets, copper plates, and effigy pipes decorated with the bird-man motif, a powerful symbol associated with warfare, rebirth, and the celestial realm. These objects, found across the Mississippian world, attest to a shared iconography and belief system rooted in Cahokia's ideology. In many ways, Cahokia was not just a city, it was the spiritual capital of an entire cultural sphere. The economic foundation of Cahokia rested on agriculture, trade, and specialized craftsmanship.
the fertile floodplains provided abundant harvests of maize, beans, squash, and sunflowers, the staples of the Mississippian diet. This agricultural surplus allowed for population growth, craft specialization, and the support of a ruling elite. Artisans produced shell jewelry, stone tools, and ceramic vessels of remarkable quality. Meanwhile, traders brought exotic materials from distant regions: copper from the Great Lakes, mica from the Appalachian Mountains, marine shells from the Gulf Coast, and obsidian from the Rocky Mountains. These trade networks not only enriched Cahokia, but also integrated the Mississippian world into one of the largest cultural systems in pre-Columbian North America. Despite its wealth and grandeur, Cahokia was not a city of permanence. Its rise and fall were as dramatic as its achievements. By around 1200 CE, the city reached its zenith, dominating the Mississippi Valley in both population and influence. Yet within 2 centuries, it would decline and vanish, leaving behind only mounds of earth and unanswered questions. The causes of its collapse are still debated among scholars. Some point to environmental degradation, the clearing of forests for agriculture and construction, leading to soil exhaustion and flooding. Others suggest social unrest, warfare, or shifts in trade routes. Climate change, particularly a period of drought known as the Little Ice Age, may have disrupted food production and destabilized the city's foundations. Whatever the cause, by 1350 CE, Cahokia was largely abandoned, and its once mighty mounds lay silent beneath the encroaching forest.
The fall of Cahokia did not mean the end of Mississippian culture. For centuries after, smaller chiefdoms continued to thrive across the southeast: the Natchez, the Creek, the Choctaw, and others, each preserving fragments of Cahokian tradition. Their political systems, religious beliefs, and ceremonial mound-building practices all echoed the legacy of the great city. Even when European explorers arrived in the 16th century, they encountered societies that still bore the imprint of Mississippian cosmology. The Natchez, for instance, maintained a class of divine rulers known as the Suns, reflecting the same solar symbolism that had once defined Cahokia's kings. In this way, the spiritual and cultural DNA of the Mississippian world endured long after its physical monuments had crumbled. For modern scholars, Cahokia represents both a triumph and a mystery. It challenges the outdated notion that complex urban societies could not exist in North America before European contact. The city's monumental scale, intricate planning, and ideological sophistication rivaled contemporary civilizations around the world. It proves that indigenous peoples of North America were fully capable of creating advanced civilizations based on their own cultural principles, independent of Old World influence. Yet, despite decades of research, much about Cahokia remains elusive. Its language, its political organization, even the names of its rulers are lost to history. What survives is the evidence of a people who transformed earth into architecture, ritual into governance, and belief into enduring art. Today, Cahokia Mounds State Historic Site, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, stands as a powerful reminder of America's deep and complex past. The mounds, though weathered by time, still command the landscape, evoking awe and curiosity in all who visit. Archaeologists continue to uncover new insights from the soil, traces of wooden posts, pottery shards, and buried offerings that reveal the sophistication of the society that once thrived here. For many Native American descendants, Cahokia is not merely an archaeological site, but a sacred place, a testament to ancestral greatness and spiritual continuity. It symbolizes both the fragility and resilience of human civilization, the rise and fall of a people whose vision once shaped a continent. In their mounds, we find not just architecture, but philosophy, the belief that the land itself is sacred, and that through it, humanity touches eternity.
The glory of Cahokia lay not only in its monumental mounds or its central authority, but in the intricate fabric of everyday life that bound together thousands of individuals into a coherent society. Behind the grandeur of the temples and plazas were the ordinary farmers, artisans, hunters, and traders whose labor sustained the metropolis. Their world was one of profound connection between land, community, and the sacred. Each household, each field, and each ceremony was a thread in the vast web of meaning that defined the Mississippian worldview. Understanding the life of Cahokia's people reveals a civilization not simply advanced in material terms, but deeply spiritual in its conception of existence. Life in the city followed the rhythm of the seasons and the cycle of agriculture. The rich alluvial soils of the Mississippi floodplain provided fertile ground for maize cultivation, which formed the backbone of the Mississippian diet. Fields stretched outward from the central city into the surrounding countryside, where extended families tended to their crops, using digging sticks and stone hoes. The cultivation of maize, beans, and squash, known as the Three Sisters, created a balanced diet and symbolized the harmony between people and nature. The surplus from these fields fed the city's population and supported the elite, whose control over food distribution reinforced their authority. Archaeological evidence of large storage pits indicates centralized collection and redistribution of grain, suggesting that food was both an economic resource and a political tool. Within the urban landscape, residential zones reflected social hierarchy. Closer to the central plaza lived the elite families, administrators, priests, and warriors, whose homes were larger and constructed with greater care. These dwellings were built from wooden frames covered with daub and topped with thatched roofs, often surrounded by fences that defined private courtyards. Here, the elite hosted feasts, conducted rituals, and managed the affairs of the chiefdom. Beyond the elite precincts, commoners inhabited modest houses grouped around shared courtyards. These neighborhoods functioned as self-sufficient units, where families worked together to process food, craft tools, and raise children. The sounds of daily life, grinding maize, weaving mats, shaping pottery, filled the air, a constant hum of human activity beneath the shadow of the great mounds. Craft production flourished in Cahokia. Skilled artisans created pottery of remarkable variety and symbolism, decorating vessels with motifs that reflected their cosmology: birds of prey, serpents, hands, eyes, and sunbursts. Stoneworkers fashioned finely chipped projectile points and ceremonial blades from a high-quality chert, imported from distant quarries. Copper workers hammered ornaments into shapes representing the falcon or the sun, while shell artisans carved intricate gorgets that adorned the necks of nobles and warriors. These crafts were not merely decorative, they carried spiritual significance, linking the wearer to divine forces. The Mississippian artistic style, known as the Southeastern Ceremonial Complex, unified the symbols and motifs across the vast network of chiefdoms, reinforcing a shared cultural identity that transcended geography.
Trade and exchange were vital to Cahokia's economy. Canoes laden with goods traveled along the Mississippi River and its tributaries, connecting distant regions in a vast web of commerce. Archaeologists have uncovered marine shells from the Gulf Coast, copper from the Great Lakes, obsidian from the Rockies, and mica from the Appalachians, all brought to Cahokia through trade. These exotic materials were transformed into ritual objects and prestige goods, used in ceremonies and gifted to allies. Trade not only brought wealth, but also ideas. Religious symbols, artistic techniques, and social customs circulated across the Mississippian world, knitting together far-flung communities into a cultural sphere centered on Cahokia's influence. The spiritual life of Cahokia was omnipresent, infused into every aspect of existence. Religion was not separate from politics or economics, it was their foundation. The Mississippians perceived the world as a living organism governed by cycles of balance and transformation. The cosmos was divided into three realms: the upper world of celestial beings, the middle world of humans and animals, and the lower world of water spirits and chaos. Maintaining harmony between these realms required constant ritual attention. The chief and the priestly class acted as mediators between the spiritual forces and the people, ensuring the fertility of the fields, the success of the hunt, and the stability of the community. Ceremonies involving fire, dance, and offerings were performed atop the mounds and in open plazas, accompanied by the rhythmic beat of drums and the sound of flutes. The rising sun, the flight of birds, and the flood of rivers all carried sacred meaning. Among the most significant rituals were those associated with the agricultural calendar. Planting festivals celebrated the renewal of life and the promise of abundance, while harvest ceremonies gave thanks for the gifts of the earth. Feasting played a central role in these events, reinforcing social bonds and redistributing resources. Food and drink were shared generously, but always under the watchful eye of the elite, whose ability to sponsor large gatherings demonstrated their wealth and legitimacy. Through these rituals, power was not imposed solely by force. It was woven into the moral and spiritual fabric of society. Yet the Mississippian world was not free from conflict. The very structures that sustained Cahokia's prosperity also created tension. Competition for land and resources intensified as populations grew. Archaeological evidence of palisades, massive wooden defensive walls surrounding key areas, suggests that warfare or raiding was a persistent threat. These fortifications enclosed the central ceremonial precinct, separating the sacred and political core from the outer neighborhoods. They may have served both practical and symbolic purposes, protecting the ruling class while asserting their control over the populace. The existence of weapon caches and skeletal remains showing signs of violence indicates that Cahokia was not merely a peaceful spiritual center, but also a seat of power, where military might was part of governance. The Mississippian approach to warfare was deeply intertwined with ritual. Battles were fought not only for territorial gain, but to restore cosmic balance, avenge offenses, or demonstrate spiritual strength. Warriors painted their bodies, carried sacred weapons, and invoked divine aid. Captives, when taken, might be sacrificed to honor deities or to accompany the deaths of important leaders. Such acts, while brutal by modern standards, reflected a worldview in which life and death were parts of an eternal cycle of renewal. The falcon warrior, half man, half bird, symbolized this martial and spiritual duality, soaring between the worlds of the living and the divine. As Cahokia matured, its political system became increasingly complex. The city likely functioned as the capital of a regional chiefdom, ruling over smaller subordinate communities spread across the Mississippi Valley. Tribute flowed from these outlying villages to the central authorities in the form of food, labor, and craft goods. In return, Cahokia provided spiritual leadership, protection, and access to sacred ceremonies. This relationship bound the region together, but it also created dependency. When the central power faltered, the entire network became vulnerable to fragmentation. Environmental factors played a significant role in shaping Cahokia's destiny. The city's prosperity depended on a delicate ecological balance: fertile soil, predictable floods, and abundant resources from nearby forests and rivers. As the population expanded, so did the demand for timber for building and fuel. Vast tracts of woodland were cleared, leading to soil erosion and the depletion of local game. Floods, once manageable, became more destructive as deforestation altered the watershed. Archaeological evidence of changes in sediment patterns near the site suggests that the landscape itself began to rebel against the pressures of urbanization. The people of Cahokia may have perceived these environmental changes not merely as natural events, but as signs of cosmic imbalance, a warning from the spirits that harmony had been broken. Social inequality also began to strain the fabric of the city. The concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few created divisions that were difficult to sustain. The elite's claim to divine authority depended on their ability to ensure prosperity and order. when environmental or political crises undermined their control, their legitimacy eroded. Excavations from later phases of Cahokia's occupation show signs of social unrest, abandoned houses, burned structures, and hastily constructed fortifications. Some scholars interpret these as evidence of internal conflict, perhaps even rebellion. The great feasts that once symbolized unity may have given way to scarcity and resentment. Religion, too, underwent transformation. As faith in the ruling class waned, the people may have turned to new spiritual expressions. Smaller regional centers began to assert their independence, developing localized religious practices that diverged from Cahokia's orthodoxy. The spread of Mississippian culture beyond Cahokia's direct influence into regions like the Tennessee Valley, the Gulf Coast, and the Carolinas suggests both diffusion and adaptation. Each new center reinterpreted the shared symbols of mound building and cosmology in ways suited to their environment and politics. The falcon, the hand, the eye, and the serpent continued to appear in art, but their meanings evolved. Cahokia's decline did not mark the end of the Mississippian world, but rather its transformation into a mosaic of regional traditions.
By the early 13th century, the signs of decline were unmistakable. Construction of new mounds ceased, population began to disperse, and trade networks faltered. The city that had once symbolized the unity of the Mississippian world became a hollow shell of its former self. The Palisades were rebuilt several times, suggesting persistent insecurity. Floods and droughts alternated in punishing cycles, making agriculture unreliable. Without the stability of food and faith, the great experiment of Cahokia could no longer endure. By 1350 CE, the city was largely abandoned, its mounds left to weather under the sun and rain. Yet the end of Cahokia did not erase its memory. Its influence lingered in the traditions of later Native American societies, such as the Natchez, who maintained hereditary elites called sons and built mounds for their temples. These echoes hint at cultural continuity across centuries, a living thread connecting the ancient Mississippians to the historic tribes encountered by Europeans. Oral traditions from the southeastern tribes speak of ancestral towns with high mounds and sacred fires, memories perhaps rooted in the distant glory of Cahokia. The rediscovery of Cahokia in modern times has reshaped our understanding of North America's pre-Columbian past. For centuries, Euro-American settlers marveled at the mounds scattered across the Mississippi Valley, but dismissed the idea that native peoples could have built them. 19th century writers speculated about lost races, Atlanteans, Israelites, or vanished giants. It was not until the rise of scientific archaeology that these myths were dispelled. Excavations revealed unequivocally that the mounds were the work of Native American ancestors, builders of a complex and sophisticated civilization. Today, Cahokia stands as a testament to indigenous achievement and resilience, challenging stereotypes of pre-contact America as a land of simple tribes. The mounds, the plazas, and the artifacts speak of organized labor, visionary leadership, and a worldview that found divinity in the landscape itself. As scholars continue to study Cahokia, new discoveries emerge, illuminating aspects of life once hidden beneath centuries of soil. Chemical analyses of human remains have revealed diets rich in maize but varied according to social status, conferring the existence of inequality. Soil studies indicate patterns of agriculture and deforestation. The arrangement of mounds and plazas aligns with astronomical events, showing that the city was as much a cosmic map as a physical settlement. Even the distribution of artifacts reveals social networks and spiritual pathways that once animated the Mississippian heartland. As scholars continue to study Cahokia, new discoveries emerge, illuminating aspects of life once hidden beneath centuries of soil.
The story of Cahokia does not conclude with its abandonment. Rather, its legacy persisted, dispersed across the southeastern and midwestern landscapes, carried in memory, culture, and art. Even as the city's streets fell silent and the mounds weathered beneath the sun and rain, the ideas that shaped its society endured. Smaller Mississippian settlements and chiefdoms continued to thrive in the centuries following Cahokia's decline, reflecting adaptations of its political, spiritual, and social structures. These successor communities preserved the essence of Cahokian urban planning, mound building, ritual symbolism, and agricultural innovation, demonstrating that the influence of a civilization does not vanish simply because its capital is abandoned. In this sense, Cahokia represents not just a city, but a civilizational beacon whose principles radiated outward long after its physical decline. The dispersion of Cahokia's population and influence into smaller centers had profound effects on the Mississippian world. Towns such as Moundville in Alabama, Etowah in Georgia, Spiro in Oklahoma, and others emerged as regional powerhouses, each integrating elements of Cahokia's ideology while adapting to local environments and resources. These sites replicated the practice of constructing large platform mounds for ceremonial and elite residences, often arranged around central plazas, and maintained cosmological alignments, reflecting the cardinal directions and celestial events. Rituals involving feasting, gift exchange, and symbolic sacrifice continued to affirm social hierarchy and spiritual authority. Artifacts from these sites, the engraved copper plates, shell gorgets, and ceremonial stone knives mirror Cahokia's artistic vocabulary, yet each site exhibits localized expressions of identity. Through these regional adaptations, the Mississippian culture survived and diversified, even as the metropolis that had once united it faded from view. The endurance of Cahokia's cultural imprint is particularly evident in the Natchez people, encountered by European explorers in the 17th and 18th centuries. The Natchez maintained a hierarchical system remarkably reminiscent of Cahokia's, with a paramount chief known as the Great Sun who exercised both political and religious authority. They constructed mounds for ceremonial purposes, performed sacred rituals to honor the sun, and upheld social stratification in ways that clearly echoed the ideological foundations of Cahokia. Oral traditions and symbolic practices preserve knowledge of mound building, sacred feasts, and cosmic cosmology, demonstrating that the Mississippian worldview was resilient, capable of surviving centuries of social upheaval and geographic dispersion. Even when facing the challenges of European colonization, these descendants carried forward the intellectual and spiritual inheritance of Cahokia.
European contact, beginning in the 16th century, introduced profound disruptions to the Mississippian world. Hernando de Soto's expedition in the 1540s encountered villages with mound complexes, maize agriculture, and hierarchical governance reminiscent of Cahokia's legacy. However, disease, violence, and forced displacement rapidly undermined these communities. Epidemics of smallpox, influenza, and measles decimated populations that had no immunity, sometimes killing as much as 90% of local inhabitants. The survivors faced social fragmentation, loss of political cohesion, and ecological pressures intensified by colonial expansion. In many ways, the Mississippian cultural network unraveled long before the full colonization of North America. Yet even under these pressures, fragments of Cahokian influence persisted in rituals, oral histories, and material culture, testifying to the resilience of ideas even when the cities that embodied them vanished. Archaeology has been the key to reclaiming Cahokia's place in history. Systematic excavations beginning in the 19th century and intensifying in the 20th have revealed the scale, complexity, and sophistication of the city. Monks Mound, once obscured by vegetation and centuries of erosion, was mapped and studied, revealing the immense labor required to build its terraces. The discovery of Mound 72 provided unprecedented insights into Cahokia's social hierarchy, ceremonial practices, and human sacrifices. Analysis of burial goods, skeletal remains, and isotopic data illuminates the lifestyles, diets, and health of the inhabitants, while careful mapping of mounds and plazas demonstrates intentional urban planning aligned with celestial phenomena. The use of modern techniques, including ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR, and chemical residue analysis, continues to uncover hidden aspects of Cahokia society, reshaping our understanding of pre-Columbian North America. Cahokia's rediscovery challenged long-standing misconceptions about North American history. For generations, European settlers and early scholars assumed that the indigenous peoples of the continent were incapable of creating complex civilizations. Tales of lost races and external builders were widespread, ignoring the rich and diverse accomplishments of Native Americans. The acknowledgement of Cahokia as a center of monumental architecture, urban planning, and regional influence has profoundly changed this narrative. It demonstrates that North America was home to sophisticated societies with hierarchies, religion, trade networks, and artistic expression entirely independent of Old World civilizations. Cahokia thus serves as a corrective to outdated ideas, highlighting the ingenuity, adaptability, and vision of its people. Modern conservation efforts ensure that Cahokia's mounds are protected and interpreted for the public. The site now, the Cahokia Mounds State Historic Site, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its outstanding universal value. Trails guide visitors through the ancient plaza past Monks Mound and toward the remains of other ceremonial and residential mounds, while interpretive centers display artifacts and provide insights into Mississippian life. These efforts serve not only to preserve the physical remnants, but also to honor the cultural memory of the peoples who built them. Descendant communities, including the Natchez, Cherokee, and other southeastern tribes, are engaged in consultation and educational initiatives, ensuring that the narrative of Cahokia respects both archaeological evidence and indigenous perspectives. The lessons of Cahokia extend beyond history into broader reflections on human society. Its rise illustrates how environmental abundance, agricultural innovation, and social cooperation can foster unprecedented urban growth. Its decline reveals the fragility of such systems when ecological, social, and political stresses accumulate. Yet Cahokia's enduring cultural footprint reminds us that human achievements are not solely measured by permanence. Ideas, beliefs, and social structures can outlast even the cities that give them form. Cahokia demonstrates that complexity, spirituality, and ingenuity are not the exclusive domains of civilizations often highlighted in textbooks, but are universal human endeavors manifest wherever communities rise to organize labor, worship, and craft meaning from their surroundings. The city's architecture, symbolism, and urban planning reveal a people who understood both the physical and metaphysical dimensions of their world. Monks Mound and the surrounding platforms were more than homes or temples. They were tangible expressions of a worldview, a society that sought to order human life in accordance with the cosmos. Woodhenge and other astronomical alignments indicate sophisticated observation of celestial events, reflecting a holistic integration of science, ritual, and governance. Trade networks demonstrate an understanding of regional interdependence, while art and iconography convey complex religious and social messages. Cahokia was, in essence, a civilization of intellect and spirituality, where human labor and belief intersected to create a city that was as symbolic as it was functional. Equally compelling is the social organization that underpinned Cahokia's success. The hierarchical chiefdom balanced authority and responsibility, with elites providing spiritual guidance, political leadership, and coordination of large-scale projects. The majority population, farmers, artisans, and laborers, supported the system through work, tribute, and participation in ceremonial life, yet they also benefited from the prosperity and protection of the city. This balance, though precarious, allowed for rapid urban growth, monumental construction, and cultural innovation. The collapse of Cahokia illustrates both the strengths and vulnerabilities of such hierarchical systems. While centralization enables achievement on a large scale, it also concentrates risk, rendering the city sensitive to environmental, social, and political upheaval.
The physical remnants of Cahokia, the mounds, plazas, and artifacts, are powerful testimonies to human creativity and resilience.
They remind modern observers that civilization can flourish in forms different from those found in Europe or Mesoamerica, rooted not in stone and written records, but in earth, ritual, and oral tradition. They challenge assumptions about the limits of human organization, revealing that complex urban life, spiritual sophistication, and regional influence were present in North America long before the arrival of Europeans. Cahokia thus stands as both a historical site and an enduring symbol of indigenous achievement, illuminating the ingenuity of a people whose civilization rivaled any in the pre-modern world. In conclusion, the Mississippian culture and the city of Cahokia represent a pinnacle of prehistoric North American achievement. Its rise from modest villages to a metropolis of tens of thousands reflects the power of agriculture, social coordination, and spiritual vision. Its mounds, plazas, and astronomical structures testify to an understanding of the cosmos integrated with civic life. Its craft, trade, and ritual demonstrate a society rich in artistic expression, religious belief, and political complexity. And though this city ultimately declined, its influence spread across the continent, leaving enduring cultural, spiritual, and archaeological legacies. Cahokia reminds us that human ingenuity is not defined by permanence alone, but by the ideas, structures, and values that continue to shape the world long after the last stones have crumbled. As modern scholars and visitors walk among its silent mounds, they witness a city alive with history and imagination. The soil bears the traces of countless generations. The artifacts whisper stories of leadership, labor, and devotion. And the layout of the city echoes a profound understanding of both nature and cosmos. Cahokia's enduring presence challenges us to appreciate the sophistication of indigenous North American societies, to recognize the dynamism of pre-Columbian urbanism, and to honor the spiritual and cultural achievements of the Mississippian people. In studying Cahokia, we encounter not only the history of a city, but the enduring legacy of a civilization that transformed earth into architecture, ritual into governance, and belief into a lasting imprint on the American landscape.